Prophet, are you in there?
Kiraj, what? Why? What have you done? Watch your tongue, Shari. Be glad that the blood is already dry, or else you'd be nothing but a pile of bones by now. Forgive me. I just can't believe it. Anyone but Lashari? Yes, I know, Neha. But she was a good woman. We both know that we're not involved in this. So please tell me why you and Lashari wanted to meet up here? Were the two of you close? It's been a while since there was a man at Lashari's side. I see. But who has killed her then? This doesn't make any sense. Maybe the murderer has left a clue. We have to search. What's this? Let me see. Yes! This could be our clue. No, certainly not. But come to think about it, it doesn't really help us either. There are so many dust addicts in Ark, it would take years just to count them. Oh, by the name of the sun, I will inform the Order. Yes, you do that. But come back to the temple as soon as you're finished, all right? The Archmagister has found something out about those sources we need for the beacon, even though we paid a high price for it.
Ah, if it isn't the Prophet. What's wrong? You look troubled.
This doesn't make any sense. Why can't it ever be easy?
I know. Shah Rim has already told me. I hardly knew her, but it's horrible. Different ideologies or not, she was a fine young mage, and her knowledge of the Pyreans was impressive. We need to find the ones who did this, and fast. But you probably already know that. Thank Malphus we just had a breakthrough with the beacon. At least as far as the sockets go, yes. In the old tablets you found in old Dothugrad, there's talk of black embers, which are supposed to be some kind of energy supply for the machine. This is what we've been asking ourselves over the past few weeks, and then it fell like pelt from our eyes. The Pyreans were talking about the Black Pearls. Old jewels, sometimes known as Blackstones. They appeared for the first time in the Golden Era, and every self-important noble literally fought to get one in his possession. Apparently they originated from Stormwind, the old city in the heart of Octwind. They changed owners for decades, sometimes by violence, sometimes by gold. The whole thing only stopped when the owners took note of an undesirable side effect, if you like. No, at least not with any known magic. And that's what's so strange about it. Nevertheless, all of their owners eventually shared the same fate. Countess Katua from Nerim, for example, whose castle burnt down to its foundations. According to a survivor of this tragedy, she was to blame for that. He claimed that he saw her the night it happened, laughing hysterically and dancing in the dining room and summoning waves of fire all around her. She was not previously known to have any magical talent in her. Correct. Plus, all of them eventually showed similar symptoms of delusion, like those possessed by the Red Madness do. A peculiar coincidence, if you ask me. Not quite.
Those who owned a pearl tried to get rid of it, or lock it up somewhere safe, and eventually they fell into oblivion. Tell him your theory, Archmagister.
Yes, of course. We believe that the stones carry energy, pure, uncontrolled magic, and that the High Ones use them for their own purposes. Correct. The pearls' magic make their owners powerful, but the High Ones befoul them, so to speak. Like a poisoned potion. I know it sounds odd, but the parallels are too striking to ignore. The red shimmer in the victim's eyes, the slow descent into madness, and ultimately this irrational, destructive act of violence. That's what we thought too, but it seems that we were wrong. Maybe the High Ones never leave our planes at all, even after the cleansing. Maybe they are even part of this world, just like the tides or the elements. And the death of the gods is only what really sets them rolling, so to speak. That's a question I've been asking myself since we first learned of the cycle. Who knows? Maybe they like for us to suffer. Or maybe they see us as we see ants, whose lives simply mean nothing. Or maybe the very concept of intentions is meaningless to them. That's what we think, yes. Nothing else in this world possesses that much raw power.
Which is why you will find them for us. No, because we know what we are dealing with, unlike those who fell victim to the stones. Imagine them as a powerful, magical sword. A fool won't know how to wield it and will eventually cut himself with it. A seasoned warrior, however, can use its power for his purposes. Which doesn't mean, however, that we will be careless with them. What we need is their energy, and once we have transferred that to the beacon, their shells will be useless to the High Ones.
Correct.
That's right. But we don't need all of them. The beacon has 3 sockets, and that is how many of the stones we will acquire. Archmagister.
I studied the history of the pearls as a young arcanist, and I think that my notes might give you some hints as to where you should start looking. Give me until tomorrow. By then I will have prepared the relevant excerpts. Just come to me whenever you have questions. Well, finding out about the Blackstones was definitely a great step forwards, but still, we're left with a myriad of questions. Sometimes I feel pathetic, to be honest. Like a child asked to understand the functioning of a Starling airship. I do? Thought I had gotten rid of it by now. But yes, I'm originally from Nirim. Just like you, as I've heard. Oh, I don't know. Probably because I don't have very fond memories of my time there. You know, if someone would have told you 20 years ago that one day I would be the Archmagister of the Holy Order, you'd have probably laughed in his face. It's absurd just to think of it. You know, I was a slave there. Yes, you see, I was born into a traveling group of Aeterna minstrels. I never got to know my father, though, and living that way was hard. So my mother eventually decided to burn all bridges behind us and start over. Sorry, I'm babbling. I don't want to bother you with my boring stories. Well, after some days on the road, we met a traveling merchant who gave us a ride to the next village, a small one named Sildren in the Salathan forest. It seemed almost perfect at the beginning. The place was quiet, and my mother found herself a job as a weaver in the local count's castle. One day, however, the count simply stopped paying her, and, well, when she asked for the reason, he told her that we were his property from that moment on, just like that. Why wouldn't it be? We were just a woman and a young son, and he owned both the land and the local guard. We had to serve this Creo, that was the count's name, for 9 years. It was horrible. No one. We weren't the only slaves he kept, and the villagers were too afraid to do anything. As for Chancellor Baratheon's armies, well, I'd be surprised if they even knew Sildren existed. Pure luck, I suppose. One day, an Enderalayan merchant and his escort passed through the village. They were on their way to Waverock to catch a ship from there. And just by coincidence, he saw me crushing some herbs I had found in the forest. That's what I did in the little spare time I had, you know. The Salathan forest is so incredibly rich with plants you have no idea. What I didn't know was that I had found an entire sheaf of God's tongue. That impressed the merchant so much that he simply bought me. He left her there. Believe me, what he did had nothing to do with mercy. He just saw that there was money to be made off of me. I cried and protested, of course, but 2 months later, our ship arrived in Ark, where he got infected with flesh maggots and died shortly thereafter. Luckily enough, he was a sublime. And since his relatives didn't know what to do with me once he was dead, they simply asked the Order to grant me the novitiate, which they did. By the left path. Sounds crazy when I tell it like that, and it probably is. But back then, it just happened. I tried, but as you can imagine, my obligations made my options to do so very limited. Only recently, however, word reached me from a mercenary whom I sent over. According to him, Creo is dead, and his castle was deserted. But who knows if he just said that to appease me. I think when all of this is over, I might ask the Grandmaster for permission to travel there myself. And then, who knows? By the righteous path, now I really am babbling. I am sure a man like you has better things to do than listen to the stories of a boring old chronicler. I should probably get back to business. Forgive me.
Blasted blazes! You are really starting to annoy me, you know that? Oh, now look at that. A visitor. Great. Just great. What do you want? Are you here because of the placard? What? By the 7? No! Don't take it personal, but you really don't look as if you know much about Starling craft. What I am looking for is an adventurer. Someone willing to take over a very important task for Horst and me. Yes, Horst. And no, he is not my imaginary friend, but this gorgeous example of Enderalian metallurgy and Starling ingeniousness right beside me. My personal centurion, and soon my new body. Yes, steel instead of flesh, energy instead of blood. Away with this useless shell and its pathetic fugacity. In Horst's body, I will live on forever. Ah, you wouldn't understand this even if you'd been my apprentice for 15 years. If it helps you, just imagine that I transfer my consciousness, my soul, into Horst's body. And by doing this, I become him. Apotheosis, that's what the scholars from Kyra call it. Man's ascent to something higher. A deity, you could say. The only logical response to current events, by the way. Ah, red madness, death of the Lightborn. You don't need to be one of those keepers to see something is happening in this world. It's going south, and other than the Holy Order and his new Naramese magically gifted pals I am no friend of, trying to pray away such threats. We need to change humanity. The apotheosis, the overcoming of our fleshly nature, is the first step. Unfortunately, I seem to be the only one who sees it that way. But hey, that's their choice. Oh, with this and that, errands, tasks your rough hands are better suited for than mine. But first, we need to find my assistant, Pathira. She's gone missing. Well, I suppose she took a flying unicorn to old Aranath. I don't know, sod it, else I wouldn't ask you for your help, would I? For his completion, Horst is asking something important. Some kind of steering unit, you might call it. Pathira and I have done research and found out that Dalmarak and his cohorts in Thalgard worked on a machine there that might employ a similar mechanism. Even though I had strongly spoken out in favor of an armed escort to send with her, Pathira had insisted on going alone. And surprise, I haven't heard from her since. Something that makes it the ideal place to go if you're suicidal and you're looking for a quick way out. You're an outlander, aren't you? How can I explain that without going beyond the scope? Dalmarak. Does the name ring a bell? He was an arcanist who lived about 2,000 years ago. Back then, the Order planned to build a second great city here in Enderal, situated in a region we now call Goldenforst. But, as it turned out, the place was everything but a good choice for a settlement. No crops would grow there, and the water made the settlers sick. So 3 years after the founding of the first settlement, Maleth, the Order forced the settlers to abandon the mission and return to Ark. But, as things are with vain personalities, Dalmarak, who had been in charge of the mission, didn't like that idea at all. Maleth had been his dream, and so he wanted to hold on to it no matter what the price. One of his ways to do so was a device he called the Sun Wheel, an old Pyrean construction which was meant to make the barren lands fertile again. You can figure out the rest. One night there was a bright flash of light, and since then Thalgard has been contaminated. Apart from a few animals and the Sunborn, savages whose brains have been rotted by the green fog there, it's deserted. In the first few centuries to follow, the fog spread as far as Goldenforst, but by now it's receded from there. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But as I said, she insisted. You know, she's of the lone wolfish type, if you get what I mean. Here, this is the place where Pathira said she would set up her camp. From here, she planned to go explore the nearby ruins. And please don't die, else I have no idea how to get Horst up and running.
Whew, you sure showed those bastards who's boss. Good work. Who sent you? I can hardly imagine you came here by chance. Oh, well, what didn't happen? If Dal Terwin sent you, I take it you know why I'm here. So here's the short version. I managed to find the steering unit for that machine, but when I got back, I got ambushed by these arseholes, highwaymen. They must have known I was working for Terwin, and that he'd pay quite a ransom for me. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have slit my throat right open. Huh, pity. They didn't count on you coming. No, of course not. They took it with them. My money would be in their hideout, Fortress Sourcewatch, not far from here. You sure look like you can handle yourself in a fight. So, what do you think about going in there and getting back the unit for us? I'd help you, but those bastards got me good before they locked me in that cage. I need to see an apothecary as soon as possible. Good. Thanks again for helping. I appreciate it. Now look at that, talking of the Black Guardian.
There you are! Good to see you back in one piece. Pathira told me everything. Had I known you'd be up against an entire gang of highwaymen, I would have sent reinforcements. But it seems you really do know how to handle yourself in a fight. Did you find the steering unit? Splendid, that's it! Good work, here's your pay. And since you're here already, there is something else you might assist us with, and it will be just as lucrative. Energy. Horst's frame might be complete, but he still lacks a source of energy. One that doesn't exhaust itself. Similar to Pyrean crystals, only much more resourceful. Evidently, the only ones capable of creating something as genial are starling tinkerers. The only problem is that the plans for such an energy core have been lost for centuries now, as have its prototypes. However, Agnod might still have one.
Just cut to the chase, will you, Master? Agnog is an old starship that was constructed centuries ago in Anku, the great Starling city on Nerim. The spearhead of Starling craft built to reclaim the forgotten homeland, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. It crashed on the first test flight.
In which it got from Nerim to as far as Enderal within a day's travel. A little more respect, please, Pathira. Anyway, fact is, until now, everybody believed the ship had crashed right into the Red Sea, a few miles before the Sun coast. It didn't. It lies buried in the Enderalian Frostcliff Glacier.
I have already scouted the perimeter. It is completely enclosed with ice. But with an aptitude, one can find a way in. The energy core we need is, where else could it be? In the heart of the ship, the generator room. And this is where you come in. I can get inside by myself, but I bet my left hand that the Tinkerers have come up with a whole arsenal of nasty defense mechanisms to process any intruders into dust, bones, or puddles of flesh. I will go on ahead and try to deactivate as many traps as possible, but I might still need your help getting to the core. You have a map, don't you? Here, this is where you should find the ship.
And as I said, find us the core and your payment will be baronial. Best you get going as soon as possible. In the meantime, I will take a look at the steering unit.
Are you ready? The energy core is, as expected, still intact, but we'll need some cleverness to get to it. I said I'll see what I can do, and that I did. I deactivated most of the traps, and if I hadn't done that, you probably wouldn't be here anymore. As for those Centurions, nothing I can do about them. Sorry. Well, I can only speculate, but Starling technology is as genial as it is complex. They say that building Agnog took about 7 decades, and then, phew, just like that, a misplaced cog and the whole thing goes to shit. Must have been pretty frustrating for the engineers. That's pretty easy. Well, that is if you know what you're doing. We need to deactivate the energy current that surrounds the core. If we don't do that, anyone who touches the core will be turned to roast beef in seconds. So, this is what we'll do. You open the valves, and I control the flushing of energy. There are 4 valves in total. Open them all. That must have hurt, didn't it? Sorry, this isn't personal, but I saw how you can fight, and with what I plan to do, I can't afford any extra risks. There's no way I can let that old fool have the machine. It is a masterpiece, probably the greatest Starling achievement since they built this ship. And what does he do? He calls it horsed and treats it like a bloody pet. Why the heck do geniuses always need to be lunatics as well? Dal Terwin is a damn fine tinkerer, but he doesn't even remotely understand the potential of this apotheosis. He sees the Centurion as some kind of crutch with which he can prolong his life. That's just pathetic. Ah, immortality. Just think what you could do with it in the right hands. I will lead my people, the Starlings, back to their old glory. It's for the greater good. I'm sorry.
You don't know what you're doing there!
Oh, believe me, I do. More than you ever did. Do you even realize how pathetic you are, Master? You... Ugh, great. I knew I shouldn't have taken chances.
You, by the ancient fathers, help me! Pathira, she controls him! You need to stop her!
I think he figured that out by himself, don't you? I guess it's time to test what this thing can do.
By the stars! This was bloody unnecessary! Why did she do that? I just don't get it. Dead? No, but inactive. Her consciousness is still linked to Horst, his soul, if you will. She did it. She actually did it. Foolish girl. She always was too impulsive. Lead our people back to glory? By the stars, how stupid can a person be? We are starlings, damn it, not bloody imperialists. We live to quest, to fulfill the prophecies, not to... You see, this is what happens when a juvenile zeal meets powerful technology. She was always snappy, but I really didn't see that coming. Anyway, I suppose I have to do it all again. Disassemble Horst, retrieve his consciousness core, and then put him back together. Then I'll think about what to do with Pathira. Maybe I'll transfer her into something else. I've always wanted a talking paperweight. Just a joke. Of course, I'm not a murderer, but when that time comes, I will make sure to have a dozen guards beside me. She can look forward to some nice months in prison, and then she can go look for another master. Stupid girl. So much potential wasted. Heh. But, save for the drama, you did a good job. I now have all that I need, and Pathira proved that the transfer, the apotheosis, is possible. In that regard, thank you. You will get your reward and Pathira's share of it too. Here, take this key. Back in the lobby, you'll find a small casket right beside the fireplace. What's in there is yours. Again, thank you.
Ah, yes. Here. There they are. I've marked the most relevant parts so you don't have to read the entire book. Just see if they tell you anything that could give you a clue as to where you should start searching. I will be waiting at the beacon.
That pretty boy, you mean? Aye. He was here yesterday, all night long, with some noble woman. Haven't seen him since, though. He looked a little battered, if you ask me. You know him well? I see. You know what? If you're looking for him anyway, could you give him this once you find him? A courier brought it along a few hours ago. Aye. A young woman, apparently. Maybe one of his beloved, who knows. Seemed urgent, though. Anyway, I need to get back to work. I'll tell the guy you were looking for him if he comes back.
You? Why are you here? What? No. Don't worry about it. I just needed some air. You know, I've had this question in my head for quite some time now, and I can't figure out the answer to it. Okay. Imagine a girl. Ever since she was a child, she's been abused by her father. Beaten, in other words. She grows to be a woman, and eventually her father dies. Then she falls in love with a man who has a lot of similarities with her father. She doesn't know why she loves him, but she does. And though it all seems nice in the beginning, he becomes more and more aggressive, starts screaming at her for no reason, until one day he too grabs the cane she knows all too well. Now, the question. On a very conceptual level, who is responsible for the situation the woman's in? Her companion because he abuses her? The woman herself because she unconsciously picked a man similar to her father? Or her father because he was the one who beat her in the first place? That's the comfortable answer. But doesn't that rid us of any kind of, I don't know, responsibility? Doesn't it make us slaves to our past? I don't know. No particular reason, I suppose. Anyway, you said you were looking for me. What's wrong? What, so the Archmagister really believes we Delverics owned one of those stones? I would have known that. Believe me, I've snuck inside our manor's treasure chamber more than once. And there was no black stone whatsoever. Not in the least, no. Setting aside the fact that what you're describing is bloody spooky, I don't have the slightest idea who might have an interest in sending me on this morbid paper chase through Ark. Either whoever did this has mistaken me for someone else, or we're dealing with a seriously disturbed individual. Yeah, I already suspected as much. But still, it doesn't change the fact that I have no idea who might be behind this, and why he sent me this package and not, for example, the Ark Guard. No, none. That's... Wait. Could you show me those letters again? By the wise hermit, that's... No, that's not possible. These fragments, if you combine all of them, they make a sentence. Knock, knock, who's there? Come in alone, if only you dare. But... No, that doesn't make sense. I know that phrase from my childhood. Adela and me, it was our code, when we snuck out of the house to go on one of our expeditions. Yes, but... No, that just doesn't make sense. Adela's an apothecarian, not a goddamn assassin. You said one of the corpses you found was a hired killer. How in blazes could my sister kill someone like that? And... why? Oh, come on, that's just bullshit. Even if the stone somehow gave her the power to do this, Adela wouldn't hurt a fly. Come on, I'll prove it to you. Meet me in Duneville. I'll take you to our hideout. Lost ones? If these are running free here, I suppose there's not much left of the diggers. Farther down, yeah. They belong to an old landlord. When Adela and I came here, we always made sure the gate stayed shut. But someone must have opened it. Or maybe the Red Madness awakened the corpses and they did it themselves. Poor sods. There, up ahead. That's the clearing where Adela and I always went. If someone's waiting for us, then it'll be there. I don't think we should go down together. If Adela really is waiting down there, and I'm still not sure she is, I'm pretty confident she wants me to come alone, as our code said. So I suggest you stay hidden and cover my back. Well, truth be told, I think that if it is her, then it is talking that she's after. Remember when I told you that I've been worried about her for quite some time now? Back on the ship. What I'm saying is, if she really wanted to kill me, she could have already done it. All of this morbid paper chase, I think she wants to tell me something. Which is why it's so important for me to go alone. Who knows what she'd think if I showed up with someone else? Yeah. You see that platform up ahead? This will get me down to the pit. You should take the path through the crypt, just down that tunnel a few steps back from here. Then stay hidden. This is all just a misunderstanding, I'm sure of it.
So you came. I have to admit, I didn't expect that.
Adela, so it's true. What is this? Why am I here? And what did you do to that man?
Still as forgetful as you were back then, aren't you, brother? To the circle, now! On your knees! Now look at him, Jaspar. Look at him carefully.
Valencio Duran. By the name of the sun.
The man who killed our family, correct. You should have seen it. How he screamed and begged for mercy. Pathetic. But I'm afraid I've got bad news for you, Valencio. Never again. I'll make sure that you never again hurt anyone. And I'll enjoy it. Just as I'll enjoy what I'll do to all those who are up next.
Adela, please. This is ridiculous. You have no idea what you're saying, let alone what you're doing. Please, just...
I know damn well what I'm doing. Better than I ever did. I'll continue where Father had to stop. And I'll make them all pay. All these bastards who think they are above justice. I should have known you wouldn't understand. Just look at you, staring off into space and asking all these stupid questions. But you know what? I'm not here to justify myself. I'm here because I think that despite all you did, despite all you became, you deserve to witness justice as much as I do. To see this bastard pay for what he's done. And believe me, I will not make it quick.
The Black Stone. Oh, damn. Then it's really true.
You know of the stone?
Yes. Listen to me, Adela. Whatever you've done over the past months, you didn't do it of your own free will. The stone, it's evil, and it controls you.
What is this, Jaspar? One of your brilliant jokes? We Dalverics have had this stone for generations. Father, he lived this calling, but he failed to see what the stone really was. A gift of fate, a means for us to carry out our destiny, to bring justice to a world where there is none. But I saw, and I will use it.
No, you're seeing this wrong. The stone, it's cursed. It wants you to... Shit, damn it, I just don't know what to say.
Surprise, Jaspar. You never did. But it doesn't matter now. Go, Jaspar. I've changed my mind. I got sentimental. Thought I owed you this, but I really don't. You don't understand me, just as you never understood Father. And listening to you talk makes me remember why I kept away from you all these years. Just look at what you've become. Running around and working for the kind of people Father tried to bring down. Treasure hunter. You're a thug. You might as well just as spit on Father's grave.
All right. This is getting us nowhere. You obviously think you know what you're doing, but you don't. Which is why you'll now give me the stone. Before it'll make you do something you'd regret.
What?
The Black Stone. You'll give it to me. Something bad's about to happen, and without it, we won't be able to stop it. You can keep doing whatever it is that you do, but you'll have to do it without magic. I'm sorry if this isn't what you wanted to hear.
So, this is why you really came. You want the stone for yourself. What did they pay you, Jaspar, huh?
What? No!
Go!
Adela,
Go!
As you wish. I'm sorry.
Who are you? I know. You damn fool, Jaspar. You bloody damn fool. I guess I should have known he wouldn't have come alone. He always had a problem with following instructions. So you are what? His sidekick? What will you do? Fight me? I have to warn you, that's a bad idea. The stone, of course. You know, of all the things I expected to happen, this never even crossed my mind. A speech, maybe, some philosophical bullshit about why I shouldn't kill Valencio, or some excuse why he didn't give a shit for me all those years. But no, even better. He doesn't give a damn about me. He came, yes, but because of the stone, because some fucking snob hired him to get it from me. By the gods, what an idiot I was to believe otherwise for even a second. I don't know you, but if my brother showed you this place, he trusted you. And that means something. So I'll let you go. But if you make even one wrong move, I will crush you. And believe me, I am not joking. What I see is that for the first time in decades, I have perspective. A reason why I am still alive and my brothers and fathers aren't. If this is the stone manipulating me, then I'm grateful for it. With this power, I can do what Father only dreamt of. Them and others. And this is only the beginning. And since you're here, that means you've read their confessions, which means I don't have to convince you that they deserved it. The greater good. Sure. Don't say I didn't give you a choice.
How unexpectedly death calls us to him. It is bitter, is it not? Unfair. You are angry because you blame me for the death of your friend, but I only did what had to be done. Please try to understand that. You are furious about the danger that, as you see it, I brought upon you. But what would have happened if I hadn't been there in that ship? Let us dare a glimpse, Prophet. A glimpse into the reality which you so ardently seem to prefer to this one. 3 hours after your brawl, Captain Rikios' ship entered the harbor of Ark. You wait until the noise falls silent, and, together with your friend, you sneak onto the deck. And you almost make it, but only almost. A few arm lengths from the safety of the dock, a sailor named Rajik takes note of your presence. There is no need for an explanation as to who you are, and maybe on a normal day Rajik would let you run, but not today. For years he has been eagerly awaiting his promotion to become a petty officer of the 8th class, and yet today it was announced that his loathed rival had won it instead of him. And how angry he is. How furious. But who knows? Maybe it is not too late. What better way to impress the captain than to be the one who discovers 2 stowaways who have eaten the crew's bread for a month? From there, it ends quickly. 1 sword for your neck, the other one for your friends, and no one to grant you a second life this time. But that is not what happened. The first beat of a wing has happened instead, and where are you now? You have abilities others wouldn't even dare to dream of. You can hear the echo of the future, and you will make decisions whose extent even you will barely understand. So tell me, Prophet, isn't that a fate preferable to the other one? You accuse me of lying, and your doubts are justified, for I cannot see the future. However, there is no need for that. All that is required is a glimpse beyond the surface, and suddenly it becomes clear that we are all nothing but a raging sea of possibilities. And if one listens long enough, the shapeless takes on form, and the unfathomable becomes tangible. You wonder whether I belong to those whom you fight. But no, I do not. The High Ones, humanity, the emissaries, these are but elements of the game. I am more than that. You ask if I can see more than just this branch, and the answer is yes, I can. But considering what I am, that is not much of a feat. You wonder what I am, yet your question should not be what, but where. And the answer to this is everywhere. What you see right now is merely a splinter. You want to know if what threatens you threatens other realities too. And yes, it does. The cycle is a logical consequence born from the right circumstance. And these are not limited to your branch. You think my intention is to disconcert you, but you're wrong. I am here because you think it was I who took someone you cared for. And although you err, I do not like being seen as a destroyer. Which is why I will wipe away my debt, which was never there to begin with. Step back.
That's my name. But... Adela, what happened? But... I only remember a flash of fire, and then... darkness. Everything's so... blurry. What? But... Okay, I'm sorry, but this is all just a little too much. Please, just give me some time with my sister, all right? Go back to Ark with that bloody stone. Go anywhere, but please, just leave me alone.